The day began like any other, the sun just a hint of orange on the horizon. The air was cool, tinged with salt and damp earth. I checked my gear, hooks sharp, lines strong. My small boat, the sea serpent, bobbed gently in the calm harbor. This was my sanctuary, my escape. Fishing wasn't just a job, it was a connection to something ancient and wild. Today, I was after halibut, a fish of legend. The tide was right, the water perfect. The journey out was smooth, the engine humming, seabirds calling overhead. Out here, it's just you and the vast, mysterious ocean. I was ready for whatever the day would bring. At my spot, I cut the engine. Sudden silence. I baited my hook with fresh herring, perfect for a hungry halibut. I dropped my line into the deep, dark water. Now, the waiting game began. A silent conversation with the unseen world below. Little did I know, my wish for a legendary catch was about to be granted in the most terrifying way imaginable. Hours passed beneath a cloudless sky, the world peaceful and still. I rebaited my hook, patience my only companion. The ocean doesn't care for your schedule, you wait for its secrets. A few nibbles teased the line, but I waited for the heavy pull of a true halibut. The air was unusually still, almost eerie. The gentle rocking of the boat was hypnotic, but I stayed alert. I made tea, savoring the warmth and the endless blue. This is why I fish, not just for the catch, but for these moments of connection. The sea was a sleeping giant. Suddenly I noticed a change. The birds had gone silent. The air now carried a strange chill. A dark line appeared on the horizon. My weather radio still reported calm, but unease prickled my neck. The perfect day was beginning to feel like a trap. The deceptive calm was about to shatter. I braced myself. Something was coming. The dark line on the horizon grew rapidly, a wall of churning black and gray. The wind rose from a whisper to a howl, waves building fast. I knew I was in trouble. A storm was coming, and it felt different. The sky turned from blue to bruised purple. The sun vanished. The world plunged into a gloomy twilight. The sea serpent was tossed like a toy, rain lashing sideways. I clung to the railing, deafened by wind and waves. Fear crept in. I was miles from shore, alone, facing nature's fury. Waves became mountains, lifting and dropping the boat in terrifying rhythm. Each crest and trough threatened to consume us. My hands numbed with cold, gripping for life. Visibility vanished in the gray, roaring nightmare. Every instinct screamed to flee, but there was nowhere to go. In that chaos, the forgotten line suddenly went tight, unbelievably tight. Something monstrous had taken the bait. Amid the storm's chaos, my rod bent double, reel screaming as line vanished. Something huge was on the other end, immense power, relentless pull. For a moment, the hurricane faded. All that mattered was the battle below. This was no ordinary fish. This was a monster. The force nearly yanked me overboard. I gripped the rod, knuckles white. The fish took line as if my drag was nothing. I tightened down, but the beast kept pulling. Only a giant halibut could fight like this, using its bulk against the current. The storm raged, but a new war had begun. Me versus the deep. The boat pitched violently, making every move a risk. I braced myself, fighting to keep tension on the line. If I gave slack, the fish could escape. The initial run slowed. Now came the hard part, gaining back line. Each lift and reel was brutal, the fish a dead weight. I was fighting a hurricane above and a monster below. The struggle became a grueling rhythm. Lift, reel, lift, reel. My muscles screamed, arms and back burning. For every foot I gained, the fish dove, reclaiming ground. It was a test of endurance, my strength against the ocean's champion. The hurricane howled, waves crashing over the deck. I wedged my feet, fighting to stay upright. A massive wave slammed the boat, nearly tearing the rod from my hands. The line went slack for a heartbeat. Panic surged, but the fish was still there. Slowly, painfully, I began to win. The fish's run shortened, it tired, or maybe I just hoped it did. My energy faded, but I couldn't let go. This was more than fishing, it was a test of limits. I gritted my teeth, ignoring pain, determined to finish. The world shrank to the rod, the line, and the burning in my muscles. Time lost meaning, minutes or hours, I couldn't tell. The storm was relentless, but so was I. The fish's resistance weakened. I sensed the end was near. One turn of the handle at a time, I pulled it closer. The battle was almost over. I was exhausted, but victory was within reach. I refused to quit. Lift, reel, lift, reel. The fight blurred into adrenaline and fear. The storm and the fish locked in a deadly dance. Every wave was a new threat. Every surge of the fish, a new challenge. A fall overboard would be fatal. No one survives these waters. The fish was pure muscle. A snapped line could whip back dangerously. As it neared the surface, it circled beneath the boat, a critical, risky phase. The line could tangle in the propeller or rub against the hull. I moved around the slick, heaving deck, following its movement. Each step was a risk, but losing the fish now was unthinkable. The thrill was intoxicating. This was the ultimate challenge. Man against nature, raw and real. The howling wind and crashing waves were my only witnesses. In these moments, you feel truly alive. All worries vanish. Only the struggle remains. It's a pure, primal experience. The danger was real, but so was the thrill. I was exhausted, but the fight drove me on. The final showdown was near. At last, a huge, dark shape rose from the depths, a ghostly giant in the storm-churned water. It was bigger than I'd imagined, awe-inspiring in size and power. The most dangerous part was now landing it in a hurricane. I readied my gaff, knowing I'd have only one chance. I let the fish circle, tiring itself. Timing was everything. The boat rolled violently. The moment came. The fish surfaced, its ancient eye meeting mine. I plunged the gaff into its jaw. It exploded in fury, thrashing, drenching me. The boat rocked dangerously, but I held on, bracing with all my strength. Using the wave's lift, I heaved. The massive head and shoulders slid aboard. The boat tilted under the weight. The tail still beat the water. With a final pull, I dragged the rest of the fish onto the deck. It lay there, a mountain of muscle, tail twitching. I collapsed, soaked and victorious. I had done it, against all odds. The storm still raged, but I had my prize. The battle was over. I stared at the giant, breathless. This was a catch for the ages. The halibut sprawled across my deck, a true giant, nearly as wide as the boat. I guessed it weighed 300 pounds, a rare ancient king of the deep. Its mottled skin was perfect camouflage, its power humbling. Few ever catch a fish like this, few are still in a storm. Halibut. This size are legends, barn doors, kings of the flatfish. Landing one takes more than luck. It's strength, skill, and respect for the sea. The storm made every moment harder, every risk greater. This was more than a catch, it was survival, determination, and respect for the wild. I felt triumph but also reverence for my opponent. This fish had ruled its world for decades. Our battle was epic, a story for the ages. It wasn't just a trophy, but a symbol of the ocean's untamable spirit. I knew this tale would be told for years. I had earned my place among the legends. With the great fish secured, the storm's reality returned. I still had to survive the journey home. The battered sea serpent fought the waves but held strong. Hours later, the harbor lights appeared. A wave of relief washed over me. I was exhausted, bruised, but alive. The ocean had reminded me of my place, its power, its unpredictability. You never take the sea for granted. It demands respect. I'd been pushed beyond my limits, discovering strength I never knew I had. The battle with the halibut was a battle with myself. Halibut are prized not just for their meat, but for the challenge they represent. Catching one is a mark of honor, a connection to a wilder world. The storm and the fish taught me about ambition and humility. It's good to dream, but you must respect nature's power. That day, I was lucky. My boldness was rewarded, but it could have ended differently. I'll never forget the howling wind, the crashing waves, and the power of that great fish. It was a lesson from the deep, written in wind, water, and muscle. I'll carry it with me for the rest of my days.